there's one thing that is extremely important in language learning that will determine if you are successful or not in your language learning journey, and for some reason, almost no one's talking about it. I'm talking about grit, determination, discipline, whatever you want to call it, the ability to stay consistent even when you don't really want to do it, you don't feel like doing it, you're not motivated, but you still do it. If you're that kind of person, you will reach fluency sooner rather than later. If you quit or if you stop doing the things that you know you should be doing because it gets boring or you don't have the motivation anymore after the initial boost, then you will never make it. You will always stay at the beginner stage because you simply avoid the hard work that you need to do to become fluent. And this is something that happens to a lot of people who actually have good intentions. There's a lot of people who will never make it anyway because they are just lazy and they want to learn with Duolingo and playing games. And anyone who says, "Oh, that's boring," that wouldn't work for me. Those people will never make it. But if you um, are someone who actually wants to learn and tries, and there are a lot of these people. This happens to a lot of people. You really want to do it, and you start strong, and then halfway through it, you start getting demotivated, or you start getting bored, or maybe you just see some other shiny object that's much more interesting and attractive, and you switch plans, and you keep switching, you keep looking for the perfect plan, the next YouTube video that will tell you what to do, and you keep trying new things instead of sticking to whatever you were doing that was actually working and would have worked if you stayed consistent longer. And a very good example, this is, by the way, something that just occurred to me because I was running and I was listening to my Greek sentences, my language islands, and I'm at a point now where I've got my 1000 most important sentences, and I am starting to get bored of them because I have listened to them and I've repeated them aloud and over, and I understand 80 or 90% now of these sentences, not Greek in general, when I listen to them. And this is when you start to think, yeah, I know this. Maybe I should just listen to something more interesting or some podcast or some topic. Um, and I caught myself having those thoughts, and that's when you need to check yourself and think, no, I actually need to keep doing that because if you stop there, okay, you understand 80 or 90% of those sentences when you listen to them. So yeah, you know them and you move on. No, if you understand 80 or 90% of them, you have to continue until you understand 100% of them, and you need to, once you understand 100% of them, you need to continue for a few more hours, even if it gets really boring, because being able to understand them when you hear them is not the same as being able to then remember them easily and use them in conversation when you need them. All right, so you need a lot more reps still. If you understand 80 or 90% of it, you're more or less halfway there. So you spend 20 hours listening to them, guess what, you need 20 more hours of listening to them and reading them and the shadowing and all of that. And you should, as tempting as it might be, you should avoid switching to whatever more fun and interesting things. No, just keep doing the really important stuff, because these sentences are high impact. Each one of them, you wrote it, it's there because you thought that you will need to use them at some point, so you want to make sure that you know those sentences really, really well. So even if you get bored, just keep going until you know them so well that you know them by memory. So you know, after each sentence, you know exactly which one's coming next, and you're able to, without reading or without looking at it, without listening to it, you're able to recite most of it by heart. You should know it. You should know it that well, and then is when you can move on to other things, because you will be able to. You'll be conversational already, not fluent, but conversational, and then you can learn 1000 more sentences, and you can learn other stuff. But the core sentences, the language islands, the most important stuff, you should do as many reps as possible. And when it gets really, really boring, it means that you really need to keep going. And this is what distinguishes people who get results, the winners, from the losers. The people who quit, people who stop doing what's actually important and move on to what's fun. And let's do some comprehensible input with video. So let's do some Duolingo, some nonsense like that. Those people will never make it. So if you want to get better results than 99% of people, keep doing the things that are boring but important, right? Because those things will get you results. And if you just like, you're hating yourself by doing it, doesn't matter. Just like go to a nice place like this one, to the beach, whatever, listen to it, or simply think of the result you want, right? If you start getting bored, if you think, okay, maybe I'll just start procrastinating, I'll just like watch a YouTube video of something, and then I'll continue maybe later, maybe tomorrow. No, just think of the result you want and keep going, all right? Because this is how you get results.